I'm divorcing you, you fool. My husband shouted over the phone just as I had returned from a business trip. I've put up with you so much until now, but I've reached my breaking point. If you don't want a divorce, apologize now. Understand? Yeah, I got it. But instead of heading to where my husband was, at my in-laws' place, I went somewhere else. My name is Sophie, 28 years old. I married my husband David, who was 2 years my senior, 3 years ago. To put it bluntly, my husband is the son of my company's future CEO. I originally worked for a different company, but after marrying David, I changed jobs. Since then, I've been working hard as an employee at my husband's company, preparing to become the next CEO's wife. He hesitated about me working at the same company, but there was no arguing with an order from the current CEO, his father. My work is demanding, and long business trips are the norm. We've been waiting to have a child, but the environment is just not relaxed enough to allow for a leisurely pregnancy. Lately, the relationship with my husband has been less than stellar. In fact, it's been deteriorating. We're both too busy, and we often end up arguing over trivial matters. Just the other day, my husband yelled at me as I was about to leave for work. Hey, Sophie, why didn't you wake me up at the time I told you? I did wake you up several times, David. You yelled at me not to disturb you and that you'd wake up on your own, so I just went and prepared breakfast. What? I never said anything like that. Stop lying. I'm not lying. I tried to wake you up at least 20 times, and your alarm was blaring the whole time. You can't imagine what's going to happen if I'm late today. I'll get chewed out by my dad again. Why do I have to be the one who gets yelled at when it's his fault for not waking up? I initially tolerated my husband's irrational scolding, but I finally began to push back. Because of this, we had a huge fight recently where he declared, I want a divorce. Since our in-laws intervened, we were saved from such a major incident. Nevertheless, I was increasingly getting fed up with him throwing around the word divorce at every little issue. One day, while I was preparing for a business trip, my husband approached me with a sullen expression. Hey, Sophie, you're off on another trip, huh? Seemingly dissatisfied with my frequent business trips, my husband always derides them as trips. I responded, exasperated. It's not a trip. It's a business trip. Why do you keep making me repeat the same thing? Must be nice always going on trips and neglecting the housework. You're probably just going sightseeing after pushing all the house chores on me, right? Listen, that's enough. This is for your company, you know. Why can't you just accept that it's a business trip? I can't imagine how it's like to be a rookie like you going on a business trip, being so useful. It's pretty much just like a trip. What the hell is wrong with you? Can't you tell the difference between a trip and a business trip? Well, it's the truth, isn't it? You say I'm dumping the house chores on you, but you've never done anything around the house when I'm away on a business trip. When I'm not around, my husband only ever orders takeout, leaves the laundry piled up, and doesn't even take out the garbage. Despite doing nothing, his attitude gives me so much stress. Even the divorce drama last time was all because of his personality. Even though we both work and spend the same amount of time on our jobs, all the housework is left to me. On top of that, he acts all superior and domineering, which I couldn't stand. Trying to discuss it with him is pointless, as he never admits to any fault on his part. Instead, he always turns it around and blames me. As I continued preparing for my business trip in silence, my husband started yelling at me again. For heaven's sakes, the future CEO's wife shouldn't be so casually taking business trips. If you're not firm like me, the other employees will walk all over you. Exactly, because I'm becoming the future CEO's wife, right? I have to learn the job and I need to meet with various clients. That's why I'm working so hard like this. First of all, we can live this good life because I'm the son of the CEO, right? You should listen to me more since it's thanks to me. What are you talking about? The company is doing well because of the employees who work, isn't it? Instead of acting high and mighty just because you're the CEO's son, you should work harder. To such words, my husband's face turned beet red and shouted, "What did you say? What do you mean by work harder?" The other day, I heard the other employees gossiping, you know. They said you always push overtime and bothersome tasks onto others and constantly complain. What? Who said that? I'll fire them on the spot. That's not the point. How can you not see that you're the one at fault? How can you not understand that you're sullying your father's name? My husband's eyes widened in anger, and he roughly pulled my bangs. Don't get too full of yourself. After all, who do you think got you this job at this company, huh? Ouch! Let go! You're able to work at this prestigious company because you married me. Got it? Refuse the business trip. I won't allow you to neglect the home for a business trip. I've said it many times. It can't be helped. It's for work. Shut up. Don't talk back. You married me, so you should just quietly listen to what I say. Suddenly, his hand released my hair, causing me to fall back on my butt due to the recoil. If this argument continues, I might lead to another divorce scare. I forcibly drove my ranting husband out of the room and prepared for my business trip. When I return, I'll have to take care of a week's worth of housework piled up by my husband. I bet the floor will be littered with clothes again, and the trash won't be taken out. With that thought, I felt tired even before the business trip. The next day, as planned, I went on the business trip. I performed my duties diligently without mixing personal feelings into my work. When I returned home after a week, the scene I couldn't believe was spread out before me. I'm home, eh? As far as the eye could see, the house was spotless, not a speck of dust in sight. It hadn't changed much since the day I left for my business trip. Thank goodness. Finally, David seemed to have understood my feelings. He must have had a change of heart and worked hard on the housework. Just as I started to feel relieved that my husband was finally cooperating, I found the completed divorce papers on the table. What? What's this? Next to it was a note saying, I'm going back to my parents' place. We're getting a divorce. In a panic, I quickly called my husband and he answered promptly. Did you read the divorce papers? His nonchalant tone provoked me and I fired back. Wait, are you serious about getting a divorce? Obviously. I mean, you'd be in trouble if I divorced you, right? Don't just casually talk about divorce. Then my husband said with a smug tone, If you're going to go that far, and he began to set out conditions. If you don't neglect the housework and listen to what I say, I might consider withdrawing the divorce, but of course, no more trips. What? I told you it wasn't a trip. Are you talking back? If so, I'm divorcing you. You're such a nag. Nag? A nag, he says? He can't do a single thing around the house himself. If he's up for it, so am I. Got it. If you don't want to be divorced, come and apologize now. Understand? Holding back my urge to yell back, I replied calmly, "Okay, I understand." "You should have done what I told you from the start. Now, come quickly." With that, he hung up the phone. Instead of heading to my in-laws' house where my husband was, I left the house to go to the city hall. Of course, to submit the divorce papers. They were accepted without a fuss, and I was officially single again. 3 hours later, while packing up at home, my ex-husband came back with his mother, probably impatient with my no-show. As soon as they saw me, they started hurling insults. "Hey, how long are you going to keep me waiting?" "That's right. You're a failure as a wife, yet you're out having fun. You should be looking after David." "Looking after? How old is David? He's older than me, isn't he?" As I retorted, their brows furrowed in anger. "Shut up, stop being stubborn, and apologize quickly. We'll really get a divorce." "If you're the one who'll be in trouble if we get divorced, Sophie, you could have been the wife of the next company's president, and you're okay with that attitude?" And you, if you divorce me, you won't be able to live in this lavish lifestyle. Are you okay with that?" "Well, I didn't think you were a good match for David in the first place, so I really don't care." At my loss for words, my ex-husband showed a devilish grin. "Got it. This is your last chance. If you don't apologize now, we're getting a divorce. I'll kick you out of the company too. Make up your mind quickly." At that moment, anger surged through me like a fireball. I had to let him know he didn't understand the situation he was in. "We're already divorced, you know?" "What?" "Just as you wished. I've already submitted the divorce papers and they've been accepted, meaning I'm no longer your wife." "What?" Her ex-husband and mother-in-law just stood there, mouths agape. After a moment of silence, he finally found his voice. "What are you talking about? This is a joke, right? There's no way you'd—" "Why would I lie? If you don't believe me, why don't you check the records yourself?" No way!" Suddenly, the mother-in-law who'd been listening started to shout. "Wait, Sophie! What have you done? You've put divorce on David's record? Our future CEO?" "It was your son who handed me the divorce papers first. All I did was submitted them." "Stop making excuses. Cancel the divorce immediately. Do you understand?" "I'm sorry, but once the divorce papers have been accepted, they can't be canceled. Besides, I have no intention of canceling." What? The mother-in-law was at a loss for words, and the ex-husband just hung his head. Ignoring those two, I spat. "I've had enough of being ridiculed every time I go on a business trip, having to balance work and housework every day. As far as I'm concerned, you're nothing more than a burden." "So, Sophie, calm down." "Calm down? I'm perfectly calm. What's the point of being married if it's only in name? All you care about is yourself, isn't it?" I didn't mean it like that. You do realize you're losing your place as the CEO's wife, right? Are you okay with that?" "I didn't transfer to your company because I wanted to become the CEO's wife. I don't know how much you've been pampered, but I didn't marry you to take care of you." "Are you really ready to give up this lifestyle? If you'd just be patient a little longer, you'd be the CEO's wife." "I absolutely refuse to continue being your caretaker. I'm not your mother. Just go live your life on your own." With the intensity like never before, my husband was completely teary-eyed. His mother-in-law took her turn, stuttering out her final provocation. Wait, Sophie, you don't understand what you're doing. What exactly? If you divorce David, you'll also lose your job. And so what? What? I've already informed your father that I'll be quitting the company. What? The mother-in-law and ex-husband's eyes widened in surprise. To confirm the truth, my ex-husband started calling his father. After a few rings, his father answered and he put the call on speaker. Dad, listen to this. Sophie went and decided to divorce me on her own. Yeah, I heard. She told me she's quitting the company too. She's so selfish. Can't you fire her immediately with your CEO powers? Well, I guess I should fire someone ASAP. You. Yeah, that's right. Wait, what? In place of the dumbstruck ex-husband, his mother-in-law confronted her husband. What do you mean by that? There's nothing to explain. David's a nuisance who contributes nothing to the company. I'm disappointed in your work ethic. Wait, what? How can you suddenly say that about our son? Keep quiet. The father-in-law strongly rebuked his wife. David, your work performance is poor. You use the company's supplies without permission. You casually make advances to female employees. You complain about the company cafeteria. You're just no good. Do you think I don't know that you're being called incompetent by your subordinates? No, that's not true. It can't be. I can't cover for you any longer, even if you are my son. You understand this, right? Being the boss's son doesn't make the company a sweet ride. But that doesn't mean you have to fire me. The only thing I can commend you for is marrying a capable wife. Sophie will continue to work for the company, but you're fired, David. At his father's words, my ex-husband's eyes widened in shock. Unfazed by his reaction, the father-in-law continued. Unlike you, Sophie is meticulous in her work and brings in a lot of contracts. She's highly regarded by our clients. There are many companies that have contracted with us because of her. Sophie? But she was just assigned to business trips because she's new. Don't be ridiculous. We trusted Sophie, so we sent her on more business trips. You were making fun of her, calling it vacation or something, weren't you? No, I didn't. Let me tell you, there's no home for you to return to until you become independent. Never come back to this house. Got it? No way! And so, my ex-husband was disowned by his father-in-law, lost his job, and couldn't even return to his parents' home. When his mother tried to protect her son, his father told his wife, "It's because you spoil him," and was also given a divorce notice. The two of them used up their savings to start living in an apartment, but they have been unable to find work, and their unemployment continues. I still get messages from my ex-husband. Sophie, I was wrong. I won't make fun of you anymore. I promise to take care of myself, so please come back. I can't take it anymore. Help me. He was so persistent that I finally blocked his number. I shouldn't have to deal with that mama's boy anymore. On the other hand, I'm still working hard under my father-in-law, who is the CEO. Now I have my own subordinates, and I'm spending fulfilling days. It's really good that my father-in-law is an understanding manager. From now on, I want to strive towards my goals without being trapped in meaningless family relationships.
Hello, Samuel. I put in the money for this month's living expenses. Make sure not to waste it, okay? I used to call my son Samuel at the end of each month to confirm the transfer. Being a boy, I thought contacting him too often might annoy him. Still, I wanted to hear his cheerful voice at least once a month. Thanks for the $15 support every month. I'm eating baked potatoes every day. What? I transfer $1,500 a month to you every month. Huh? We both tilted our heads at each other's words. According to my bank book, I had transferred the usual $1,500 to Samuel's account. Yet why did Samuel think it was only 1/100th of that amount? $15 can't do much, can it? But Mom, your company's having a tough time, right? What are you talking about? This year's performance has been the best ever. I'm even thinking about increasing the support money. Samuel was, surprised by my words. Where did he hear that my company was in trouble? I got angry as I thought about finding out who told him that. Samuel, I'll definitely sort this out for you. I hung up the phone to go to Samuel. I planned to go to the police after picking up Samuel. It must be him. I won't forgive him. My name is Aaliyah, a 49-year-old single mother, divorced from my husband Jeremiah during pregnancy. Since then, I've raised my eldest son Samuel alone. Fortunately, my family's business allowed me to work and study hard to take over. Thanks to that, our life was stable, and Samuel never lacked anything despite having only one parent. Samuel has always been very diligent, a bit careless, but always had top grades. When my father fell ill during his elementary school years, Samuel began studying hard to become a doctor. He got into a prestigious medical school, top of his class. I was ready to pay for college, but Samuel's efforts led to a tuition waiver, which was a financial relief. I was so proud that my son had worked hard and achieved such results. The university was about 2 hours by train from home, and to make it easier for him, I decided to let him live alone near the university, using the saved tuition money. By chance, there was a student dormitory, which we contracted. It housed students from various universities, and Samuel was looking forward to moving in. The dormitory had a rule that parents couldn't enter, and the moving in was helped by existing residents. It was part of their community building, the manager said, so I shouldn't worry. Not being able to see his room was a bit sad, but I accepted it as part of his independence. For a few days after he started living alone, Samuel regularly contacted me. But after a week, his messages became scarce, and after a month, I hardly got any replies. He must be busy with his new life and studies. After all, no news is good news, and he would surely contact me if needed, so I decided to wait and see. Samuel contacted me about a week before Christmas break. He talked about enjoying his classes, starting a part-time job, and being busy every day, and that he would come home for Christmas. Hearing Samuel's lively voice, I felt relieved. Then Samuel asked, "Can I bring a friend home when I come for Christmas?" Apparently, it was a boy from the same dormitory who had nowhere to go during Christmas. "Why don't you just come over to our place?" So Samuel invited him. Considering Samuel was always a bit shy, he must have really hit it off with this boy. I readily agreed without any objection. When I saw the friend Samuel brought home for Christmas, I was speechless. I had imagined someone quiet like Samuel. The boy standing at the doorway had brightly dyed hair and a lot of piercings in both ears. "Yo, welcome." "Ah, Samuel's mom. You're pretty. You must be popular, right?" Maybe." Ignoring my discomfort, Eli, Samuel's friend, entered the house and sat on the living room sofa. His arrogant attitude made me want to say something, but I held back since he was Samuel's guest. During his 3-day stay, Eli often gave Samuel orders. I was worried, but Samuel didn't seem to mind much. "Hey Samuel, let's go to the arcade." "There's no arcade around here." "That's boring." "If it's boring, you can always go back." In these 3 days, I had grown to dislike Eli. Because of Eli's constant presence, I couldn't spend any time with Samuel. Our precious parent-child time was interrupted, and honestly, I just wanted Eli to leave. In the end, Eli stayed not just for 3 days, but until Samuel returned to the dorm. and I couldn't spend any time with Samuel. After returning to the dorm, Samuel's contacts became sparse again. Still, I received a thank you note and brief updates about his life every month, so I believed he was all right since he was an adult. But in spring, unusually in the middle of the month, I got a call from Samuel.
Sorry, I've been busy and couldn't do my part-time job. I can't pay my rent. Could you send me some money?
Is it because of the exams? But I don't approve of overspending. I'll send it this time, but be careful from now on. When I said that,
Really sorry,
Samuel replied in a dispirited voice. It was an unusual trouble for Samuel, so I somehow felt Eli was involved. Hey, is there anything troubling you now?
I'm fine. Thanks as always.
Just don't push yourself too hard.
Got it.
I was concerned about Samuel's lack of spirit, thinking he might be upset about his first financial trouble. Then, at the end of the next month, I called Samuel. Hello, Samuel. I put in the money for this month's living expenses. Make sure not to waste it, okay? I used to call my son, Samuel, at the end of each month to confirm the transfer. Being a boy, I thought contacting him too often might annoy him. Still, I wanted to hear his cheerful voice at least once a month.
Thanks for the $15 support every month. I'm eating baked potatoes every day.
What? I transfer $1,500 to you every month.
Huh?
We both tilted our heads at each other's words. According to my bank book, I had transferred the usual $1,500 to Samuel's account. Yet why did Samuel think it was only 100th of that amount? $15 can't do much, can it?
But Mom, your company's having a tough time, right?
What are you talking about? This year's performance has been the best ever. I'm even thinking about increasing the support money. Samuel was by my words. Surprised. Where did he hear that my company was in trouble? I got angry as I thought about finding out who told him that. Samuel, I'll definitely sort this out for you. I hung up the phone to go to Samuel. I planned to go to the police after picking up Samuel. It must be him. I won't forgive him. I took a taxi from the nearest station and stopped near the dormitory. Then I called Samuel and secretly asked him to come out. Make sure no one sees you.
Why?
Just do it. Samuel seemed unconvinced, but still kept his promise and snuck out of the dorm. As he turned the corner and approached the car, I almost screamed.
Mom, it's been a while.
Samuel, what happened to you? Your body? He was supposed to be healthy at Christmas, but now in front of me stood Samuel, reduced to just skin and bones. What on earth happened? I hesitantly asked Samuel. Samuel, you've lost so much weight. What happened? At first, Samuel said,
It's nothing.
But gradually he started telling me about his situation.
Mom, after coming back from the break, you sent me a new bank book, right? Since then, the support's been $15, hasn't it? It was tough, but Eli said you were closing the company when I visited, so I thought you were struggling.
I was shocked to hear that. I had no memory of talking about such a thing when Samuel was home. My company had its best performance this year. There's no plan to close it. And there was something else in Samuel's story that bothered me. Hey, what new account?
Huh?
That's right. I hadn't opened a new account since Samuel was born, and I've been depositing $1,500 into the same account every month. I had a bad feeling. Samuel, let's go to the police.
Police? Why?
The money I've been sending you might have been stolen. When I said that,
No way.
Samuel's eyes widened in disbelief. But then he seemed to have an idea.
Could it be?
I guess Samuel's suspicion was probably right. The thought of what Samuel was going through pained me. But whoever did this to him had to be held accountable. Driver, please take us to the nearest police station. The taxi started moving at my request. The driver, having overheard our conversation, kindly took us to the largest police station in the city. When we arrived, I entered the police station supporting Samuel. Samuel, who used to be in sports teams and was always careful with his diet, now seemed lighter than me. I felt tears welling up as I walked with him. At the police station, a young male officer attended to us, listened to both our stories, and first offered words of comfort.
You've done well to cope with such a tough situation.
Hearing this, Samuel burst into tears.
There have been similar complaints from a student dormitory in this area.
Really? The officer said that in the last month, about 3 families had made similar complaints, and they all pointed to one person as the suspect. That person wouldn't happen to be Eli Rodriguez, would it? The officer sighed and nodded at my words. Samuel was looking down beside me. He must have been hoping it wasn't true, despite his suspicions. I placed my hand on Samuel's back and looked at the officer. Is there an investigation underway? The officer thought for a moment and then led us to a private room. He asked us to file a report. Of course, I agreed and immediately filled out the report. After submitting it, the officer in charge sat down with us to discuss the ongoing investigation. Eli was acting like a contact person, befriending the victims to obtain their bank account details and PINs. Then someone else would withdraw the money. And they suspected that the money was being received by a certain man, currently under investigation. I was shocked when I saw the photo they showed me. I know this man.
Really?
The officer looked surprised. I took a deep breath to calm my racing heart, and then started talking about the man in the photo. Jeremiah Rodriguez, right? He's my ex-husband and Samuel's father.
My dad?
Yes, the man in the photo was Jeremiah, my ex-husband. Our divorce was due to financial issues and infidelity. After the divorce, I lost contact with him and never received child support. I thought it was better not to let him influence Samuel, so I never tracked him afterward, but I never imagined he would be involved in criminal activities. I turned pale. So Samuel had been deceived out of money by both his close friend and his biological father. Samuel stood frozen, unable to speak from shock.
We've also established that Jeremiah Rodriguez and Eli are father and son.
What? Eli had said he was Samuel's age when we met. The dormitory where Samuel stayed was strict about identity verification, so that was probably true. But if it was true, it meant Jeremiah had an affair and fathered another child while I was pregnant. Even though I no longer had feelings for Jeremiah, the revelation was a shock.
Eli and I are brothers?
Samuel seemed overwhelmed by the shocking truth. I was speechless at the unexpected truth.
Sorry, we need a bit of your cooperation.
It's fine. I'll do anything to catch those two. Samuel nodded in agreement, albeit faintly. Following the police's instructions, we decided to act accordingly. I secretly returned Samuel to the dormitory, and I stayed in a nearby economy hotel. The next day, I waited for the right moment when Eli was around and called. "Hello, Samuel. How are you?" Samuel, claiming to be washing dishes, deliberately put the phone on speaker. I realized Eli must be nearby. "I got some extra income, so I'll deposit it into your account. Use it wisely."
Got it, thanks.
Samuel ended the call. I stopped the IC recorder I had with me. Then I transferred $10,000 into an account in Samuel's name. The next morning, Samuel checked his internet banking and sent the evidence to the police. After a stop, I went to the dormitory with the police. We explained the situation to the dorm manager, who immediately led us to Eli's room. Pressing the doorbell, we heard loud footsteps approaching.
Hey, who's there? Oh, what?
Eli opened the door abruptly and froze. Seeing me and the police officer, he was baffled as to why we were there in a restricted area. Eli seemed truly clueless. I smiled at the confused Eli. Long time no see, Eli. I'm Samuel's mother.
Samuel's mom here for me? And with the police?
Eli glanced at Samuel beside me and seemed to realize why we were there.
We have a warrant, and we'll be conducting a search now. Got to go out. So sorry. Some other time.
Eli tried to close the door quickly in response, but the police didn't allow it. The two officers forced the door open, and the search began, almost immediately. Found it, we heard. Eli's shoulders slumped in resignation. Samuel and I entered the room. Multiple bank books and cards were laid out on the table, each with different names. Seeing this made my head ache. The police, with practiced efficiency, arranged them by name and took photos.
What? How'd you find out, Samuel? Did you set me up? I thought you were a friend. You laughed inside while I suffered. It's not what you think. There's a reason for this.
Eli tried to make excuses, but Samuel showed no reaction. Eli looked frustrated, almost ready to lash out. That's when I spoke up. Swindling money from your half-brother? How low can you get?
Half-brother? Who are you talking about?
You and Samuel. Eli froze at my words. Given that they targeted students, they must have shared the pre-investigation info with Jeremiah. My family business is unique, so Jeremiah would have easily identified Samuel as my son.
No way.
It's true. Jeremiah Rodriguez is my ex-husband and Samuel's real father. Seems like he was having an affair, and you were born from that relationship. Eli sat down, stunned. The police had informed me that Eli had a sickly younger sister. After divorcing me, Jeremiah quickly remarried his affair partner. But she didn't want a boy, so Eli was neglected. After she gave birth to a girl, Jeremiah and the woman divorced. The daughter was expensive due to her treatment, so she stayed with her mother, and Eli was taken by Jeremiah. Regularly, Eli visited his sister and gave their mother money for the treatment. Hearing this, I realized the significance of the sibling relationship to Eli. My suspicions seemed to be confirmed.
I exploited my own brother?
With those words, Eli was taken away by the police. Samuel and I went to the police station and were shown only the bank books related to us among those seized. According to the investigation, Eli had been getting victims drunk or going shopping with them, checking their pens at ATMs, and then stealing their bank books, cards, and IDs when visiting their rooms. His visit during Christmas was to check if my family was wealthy. He then set up new accounts, transferred the money from the original accounts, withdrew it all, and deposited only a small amount into the new accounts. That explained why the bank book entries never matched up with my expenditures. I sighed in understanding. Eli quickly named Jeremiah as his accomplice, and by the next evening, Jeremiah was also arrested. I went to the police and shared everything about Jeremiah's past actions. Later, I decided to visit Jeremiah. Samuel wanted to come, but I asked to go alone this time, and he waited outside. Jeremiah, whom I hadn't seen in 20 years, had aged, but still had his condescending attitude.
Wow, what a mess. Got carried away, huh?
He spoke nonchalantly with no sign of remorse. I had to suppress my anger. I forced a calm smile. How pitiful.
Lost at the casino, you see. Well, I'll just call my parents and get out of here soon.
He responded as if making small talk. I slapped a piece of paper in front of him. His face changed color.
Hey, what's this about?
Oh, I told your parents everything about you. Jeremiah's parents, Ruby and Nicholas, were sensible people. Even after our divorce, we kept in touch. They said they felt too ashamed to meet Samuel until Jeremiah was found. They had never met Samuel, but I never missed sending them updates with photos. When I told them I was visiting you, they asked me to bring this.
You know what this is? It's a disownment letter.
Jeremiah confronted me through the glass. I replied calmly to him. You, who ran off to a woman and cut all contact. Wouldn't understand their struggles. They've been patient, wanting to meet their grandson Samuel, but they decided to wait until your disgrace was settled.
You should have let them meet.
Don't you dare say that after all your running away. My voice raised, and a police officer in the room cautioned me to calm down.
Calm down, please,
he warned. I took a deep breath to settle my heart. Anyway, now Ruby and the others can finally meet their grandson. Oh, and about Eli.
What about Eli? He's got nothing to do with you.
He says he never wants to see you again. He doesn't want anything to do with a father who exploits his half-brother. Ruby said she would take him in.
What? Without him? How am I supposed to live from now on?
Jeremiah's pathetic tone made me unintentionally laugh. I don't know. Maybe work can pay off your debts.
Aaliyah, it's about us, right? Help me out.
Oh, what a funny thing to say. Our relationship ended 20 years ago. I answered with the biggest smile of the day, leaving Jeremiah with a look of despair. I left the visitation room feeling refreshed, ignoring Jeremiah's protests. After that, several other crimes committed by Jeremiah came to light, and he received a prison sentence. He's not expected to be released for at least 5 years, giving us some peace of mind. Eli, having acted under orders, received probation. He's now being strictly re-educated under the care of my former in-laws, in a remote, entertainment-free location, which seems to be tough on him. Eli had been gathering money for his sister's complicated surgery. However, Jeremiah had squandered that money. Despite his desire for entertainment, Eli is repeatedly admonished by my former in-laws. Samuel, initially confused, focused on his studies to become a doctor, successfully earning his credits and nearing the time to apply for a specialized graduate program. As for me, my company grew even more, enabling me to increase my support for Samuel. I was unexpectedly proposed to by someone who has been supporting me in the company. I'm currently keeping the proposal on hold. The person has been close to Samuel since he was a child, and it was Samuel who suggested accepting the proposal.
Rather than dating, why not just get married?
Samuel suggested, impressing me with his understanding of my character. You know my personality well. I was a little impressed. However, with Samuel's upcoming internships and exams, expenses will increase. For now, I'm focusing on supporting Samuel's journey to becoming a doctor. Then, I'll think about my own future.